When people think of imperialism, they often picture European nations expanding into Africa or Asia. However, European imperialism first took shape within Europe itself. In the 19th century, the major European powers competed to extend their influence in the Balkans, a region that had long been controlled by the Ottoman Empire. By the mid-1800s, the Ottoman Empire was in decline and had become known as the sick man of Europe. Many Europeans believed that the empire's collapse was inevitable, leading rival powers to position themselves for greater influence and control over its territories, and they wanted to be ready to pick up the pieces. Russia was the first major European power to expand aggressively into the Balkans. Much of its interest in the region was driven by the idea of Pan-Slavism, which emphasized the shared Slavic heritage of peoples such as the Serbs, Bulgarians, Croats, and Montenegrins. Russian nationalists argued that Russia had a special responsibility to protect and liberate these fellow Slavic peoples from Ottoman rule. However, Russia's involvement was motivated by more than cultural and religious solidarity. The Russian government also sought important strategic advantages, including access to the Mediterranean Sea, control of warm water ports, and greater influence in southeastern Europe. Gaining access to the Mediterranean would strengthen Russia's trade routes and naval power, making expansion into the Balkans both an ideological mission and a practical geopolitical goal. Britain strongly opposed Russian expansion into the Mediterranean because it viewed Russian influence in the region as a threat to its global empire. This concern became even greater after the completion of the Suez Canal in 1869, which dramatically shortened the sea route between Britain and India, the most valuable territory in the British Empire. Protecting the canal quickly became a central goal of British foreign policy. As a result, Britain worked to prevent Russia from gaining access to the Mediterranean and potentially threatening this vital trade and communication route. While Russia sought greater access to the Mediterranean through the Balkans, Britain was determined to keep Russia out, creating a major rivalry between the two powers. This competition intensified tensions in the Balkans and contributed to the growing instability of the region. Austria-Hungary also became deeply involved in Balkan affairs and was determined to prevent Russia from dominating the region. Because the empire bordered the Balkans and contained many different ethnic groups, including large Slavic populations, Austrian leaders feared that the growth of Pan-Slavic nationalism would encourage separatist movements within their own empire. As a result, Austria-Hungary sought to block Russian influence, expand its own control over parts of the Balkans, and preserve stability within its multi-ethnic state. These competing ambitions brought Austria-Hungary into direct conflict with Russian interests, turning the Balkans into a dangerous region where rival empires competed for power and influence. By the late 19th century, the Balkans had become a political powder keg, with tensions that threatened the peace of Europe. As Russia expanded its influence in the Balkans, many people in Britain became increasingly alarmed. Fear of Russian access to the Mediterranean and concern for the security of the Suez Canal fueled a wave of patriotic support for a strong foreign policy. This growing hostility toward Russia was reflected in popular culture, including a famous London music hall song that celebrated Britain's willingness to go to war if necessary. The song became so widely known that it gave rise to the term jingoism, which refers to an aggressive and highly patriotic enthusiasm for military action and the use of force in foreign affairs. The popularity of this sentiment demonstrated how great power rivalries in the Balkans were influencing public opinion across Europe and raising international tensions.